the LETSHUOER Mystic 8. Let's talk about it. Now, this is an 8 balanced armature IEM with Sonian and Knowles BA drivers, which are branded drivers if that's something you care about. So that's a good thing. Now, this does not have a current price yet. I am friends with a pretty big time Headfier reviewer by the name of The Slayer. He's in my Discord channel. He's pretty active there if you guys want to come in and join us there. But he has let me borrow this for purposes of review. I want to say thanks to The Slayer for letting me borrow this. Much appreciated. Good dude. Check out his reviews. But this is not fully released yet. If you look at this online right now, it has a price of $9,999. We expect this price to be around $1,000, but you know, it's hard to say how they might choose to price this, especially in the economy. Let's look at the build quality. Let's talk about the sound, and then we'll make a conclusion at the end. Let's go. Now, I like these shells. They have a great nozzle. They have a great fit. They have a great build quality. They're a little bit slight and nice fitting for me. And so I just feel like it's just a nice overall IEM shell. Like it has a cool design, kind of like a cat design, which I think is cool. It has a nice feel. It feels metallic. It feels like a strong metallic build quality. Nice shell. This is a case that's grown on me. Most cases have a metallic top. This has a rubber top. I really like this for easy access. I think it's really cool, and I find myself actually using something like this. It's really accessible, and I really love this case that it came with. The cable is slightly disappointing. You can see a bright red blue dot on this. The cable feels chintzy. It's not super great. It does have a chin slider, but it's like a plastic little nubbin. I mean, the cable itself feels good in hand. It's a nice cable. It terminates in a 4-4. I mean, it's an all-around solid cable, but you know, there you go. So how does this sound? It's interesting. It sounds very referencey, very clean, very clear, with a nice amount of bass, but it doesn't really have a fun and clear factor to it. It is a very nice, laid back, chill set, and I do like this set, but I do find there's a few interesting things about the sound. But basically, the way I kind of see sound is that sometimes there's like where I would want sound to be, but it feels like it lacks a tiny bit in the dynamic department and could benefit from a little bit of EQ to shine. But when with that EQ, it becomes really a quite remarkable little set. It has some really nice features. We're going to do some comparisons with some graphs and kind of talk about some other IEMs that are around the alleged price and maybe a little above or a little below, and kind of go from there. Let's start with some graphs. Let's look at the graph of this guy. You'll notice it has a nice graph, nice upper mids, good upper extended treble, a little bit of a lean bass shelf, and that's kind of one of the faults of this IEM is that it doesn't have a lot of rich organicness, but it has a nice tonality, and that's something that's not always easy to pull off. So overall, I do think the tuning on this is very nice. It is very enjoyable. It works on most genres of music, but it does feel like if you're a really hip-hop head and you really want some thunderous bass, there's at times where it's like, yeah, this isn't really it. Maybe you're feeling the drivers, maybe you're feeling the tuning, but it doesn't sound by any means poor. But with like a lot of IEMs, sometimes they need a little bit of lift in that bass. But again, everything else is also really nice on this set, and the build quality is absolutely exceptional with great drivers. You compare this to other stuff in the series, you'll notice the curve of this is very similar with the Cadenza 4. Sometimes we talk about a house sound. I mean, if you're looking at the Cadenza 4, but you're looking for extra, I think the dynamics, I think the overall IEM of the Cadenza 4, I mean, the Cadenza 4 is a nice IEM with a nice tonal balance and tone, but I don't really feel that it really, I don't know, it just really executes as well as we might want it to. The Mystic 8 is the better set, and it does kind of change some things about that. It just has a better overall natural sound and timbre to it, and just a great overall IEM. But, you know, that's to be expected for their, you know, supposed price differences. I want to say the Cadenza 4 is around $250, $300, depending. Another one to think about is the Cadenza 12, the new 2024 edition. We reviewed this on channel not long ago, and I mean, I liked this one. But that one, it just had this weird thing where the upper mids felt a little bit strange, but it overall was a nice tonality. I do think the Cadenza 4 the Cadenza 12 is a better set, but is it really worth the alleged almost double the price? Not necessarily. I think the shell in the Mystic 8 has a more unique design. I think the overall richness or organic texture of the base of the Cadenza 12 is going to be a bit better. But for me, both of these IEMs sound pretty good in ear. But the Mystic 8, and they both benefit greatly from EQ. But the Mystic 8, you know, it has some nice things about it. And being half the price, I think, you know, again, we're assuming, it really kind of can present a great value. Like, I wouldn't, you know, I could see how people would like the Cadenza 12 better. But for me, I think the Mystic 8 is a great set, especially, you know, like everyone has their limits. Everyone has their cutoff point. And I think, you know, for $2,000, I don't know, the Cadenza 12 felt like it just kind of lacked something. And I think there's some better options at $2,000, to be honest. But the Mystic 8 feels like it's a little bit more competitive in that $1,000 space and with some of the other IEMs out there. One thing I wanted to show you is, you know, this is a lot like the Monarch Mark II graph, very similar. I mean, if you've listened to the Monarch Mark II and you felt like it didn't have enough thunderous bass or it just wasn't like as popping in, the Mystic 8 probably is not going to be for you. That's not going to, again, the bass issues and the texturing of it are a little bit behind with, I think, part of its drivers, parts of its tonality, and but a lot of reasons why. I mean, I still think the Monarch Mark II could be the better IEM, but I mean, one thing about the Monarch Mark II is that it is an older shell, and it may not fit you. It may not be as nice of a shell for you, where the Mystic 8, I think, is a lot more of a modern shell. It's really beautiful IEM itself as far as build quality goes. Build quality, it crushes the Monarch Mark II. And I think it's something really highly to consider for people that want a similar tuning but hate the shell of the Monarch Mark II. It becomes an exceptional value at that point. I mean, there's a lot of sets out there, you know, I've listened to around this price. The Kinnear Verdandi, I didn't resonate with it. You know, if we normalize this set at right around 500, you'll just notice that the Verdandi has a lot of bass. But for me, when it has too much upper mids, it can be almost too much and kind of makes things go crazy for me. And it's just not something I really would want to do. What else can we see? I mean, another one I've reviewed on the channel is the Dita Mecha. Now, I like the Dita Mecha. The Dita Mecha is a fun IEM, but it is not a neutral set. I mean, the bass in the Dita Mecha is satisfying, enriching, but you'll notice the same thing kind of like the Verdandi. The Verdandi has way too much upper mids, but the Mecha feels a little bit more sophisticated, a little bit darker. These are two very different tonalities, but I do think, like, if you're looking at what's good, like, Jaytis, what's good? Like sometimes people want to know, like Jaytis, what's good? You know, it's almost like they expect me to tell them what's good. And I will tell you, if you're just looking for a good set, the Mystic 8 is a fantastic set with great micro details, with great soundstage, with great imaging, and just a few minor flaws that make it maybe not as good as its bigger brother, the Cadenza 12. So, I mean, it does a lot of things exceedingly well. I mean, you look at something like the Theaudio Origin, like the treble is about the same here. The Origin has more bass, but the problem, like with the Theaudio Origin, is that its micro details are really poor. It does have a unique sound, but it is the Origin's an extremely flavored, like colored set. And it also has a very, very, very large shell, like even larger than the Monarch Mark II, which makes other things compelling. The Mystic 8 has that gorgeous metal shell. There's a lot of things that make the Mystic 8 a compelling option at this price point. You know, I personally would EQ, but if you notice here, there's not a lot of EQ here, like maybe a little dip here, here. But the main thing is just a tiny bit of a bass shelf. And the Mystic 8 really, really shines and sounds even richer and more organic. And this is all around a solid mid-focused IEM. All right, the Mystic 8, let's rank this guy up. This is a solid SIEM. I mean, you know, considering the price, you look at the S's, there's other ones out there, like, you know, the Softier Twilight that might be better. You know, that I didn't really talk about. The Dunu DK Brain Dance, which I think is exceptional. Even, you know, the Softiers Volume S. And there's other IEMs out there that could be a really good IEM for you. But there's an element to appeal of ownership to this Mystic 8. I think it's a very nice set. And I think those that have it can really be impressed with the value and richness it has. Now, this price, again, I don't know if it's going to be true or not, but that's what we have it rumored. I will update this review and put a little note in the comments when we do get a final price, but we're just kind of using that as kind of a bounce to kind of think about value. But I mean, overall, I think, you know, its mids are very nice, but they're not super exceptional or interesting. And that's why I gave him a 9. I don't think the bass is very strong, and that's one of its massive faults to this. I think, like, a lot of IEMs have, like, the Mystic 8 doesn't really have great mid bass or sub bass. Like comparing this even to the Cantor, like the Cantor even has better bass than this. And so the Mystic 8 is almost like, if I did decimals, it'd almost be like a 7 or a 7.5. Like, its bass has problems, but its dynamics, meaning that, like, how does the bass sound in ear? Like, how does it sound in the IEM? And how does the drivers doing their part? It feels like it's doing a great job. It adds great imaging, great micro details, and it has that, like, wow, good factor. And I think it's a very good set and one of the better BA, like all BA sets that I've heard. But it's not the most engaging. You know, if you're looking for an engagement set, you might find something better for a lot cheaper. So to summarize what my feelings are on this IEM based on the alleged price, I think it represents an interesting place in the market, as it is a very clean, well-built, well-made IEM, and that I think it's competitive versus a lot of other $1,000-ish IEMs in the market. I don't think the sound quality is going to be the one that, like, everybody it drives them crazy for, but I think it's one of those products that I think could be a very good value for you depending on what you're looking. You know, the high-end market is so tough to evaluate sometimes because it's like, you know, for me, this probably wouldn't be a winner, but I do see how a lot of people would want something like this because the shells are gorgeous. The set, everything about this set is gorgeous and beautiful. But the sound is a little recessed and probably not what I would immediately pick. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. And I hope you have a great day. Bye-bye. You're still here. It's over. Go home. Oh, you're expecting a teaser for our next video. Well, we don't have that kind of money. What are you expecting? One of those store reviewers to show up in a saucy little leather number? Go. Oh, I can tell you one thing. We are going to have a collab video. We have no idea what it's going to be. Probably Kryn, maybe Chris, or Joyce. Don't deny it. She's got range. Go. Get out of here.
Go! Go!
Go.
Go on with you!